that Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Yay. Hello, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Labor Day that we all are having here together. Hope everyone is doing amazing.
Right.
How are you doing, Liz?
I'm actually doing really good. It has been a very productive and well-organized day.
See, guys, we like being efficient and to the point. So in that spirit of being efficient and to the point, we want to get into the weeds of what we want to talk to you guys about today. So today we want you guys to prepare yourselves for a raw and unfiltered conversation that we're going to have. And it does come with a trigger warning, guys. We always want to make sure that you are very aware that the conversations we're having here are extremely trigger warning signs. So you have to make sure that if we're getting into subjects and the weeds of things, and that's triggering your own PTSD, as we know this community is filled with wonderful advocates, that you really, take a moment and step away and don't engage on comments and just make sure that you have time for yourself. So that always is very important to remind ourselves, because while we appreciate all your support, it should never come at the expense of you guys being triggered. So we wanted to really, set that to you guys. So Liz and I are two LGBTQ individuals who grew up in the grip of Scientology. And we're here to shed light on the disturbing realities of children trapped in this web of deception. Our mission is clear: to confront the disturbing lies propagated by this organization and advocate for those still suffering the horrors we endured as kids inside those hotels from hell.
In this no-hold-barred discussion, we tackle head-on shocking falsehoods perpetuated by Scientology in the claims that children are not adults in small bodies, the audacity the fabrication serves in this sinister justification for subjecting innocent children to levels of depravity, the deep coercion. Oh my God, my day's already going like this. It's a false. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Liz, don't worry about it. Like guys, we were made to read out loud in Scientology. And for some of us, like every time you make a mistake, our ADHD kind of gets the best of us because we're trying to self-correct. So Liz, don't worry about it. I got you here.
Okay, good.
This is a no-holds-barred discussion. We tackle head-on the shocking falsehood perpetuated by Scientology, the claim that children are not adults in small bodies. Repeat, children are not adults in small bodies. That's a falsehood. This audacious fabrication serves as a sinister justification for subjecting innocent children to levels of depravity that defy comprehension. It's a falsehood that we witness firsthand, and we refuse to let it continue. Our journey is fueled by the belief that children deserve better. No child should endure the emotional and psychological torment we experienced. We're here to expose the darkness, to give voice to those who are still silenced, and to be a beacon of hope for those yearning for freedom. So join us as we challenge the crooked memos of L. Ron Hubbard, and as we peel back the layers of Scientology's sinister practices. And as we fight for justice. This is not just our story. It's a call to action to unmask the truth and to protect the most vulnerable among us, which are the kids. So we have amazing 50 people that have already joined us on this live, and thank each and every one of you. We really appreciate you taking the time to learn and taking the time to hold space for these very difficult conversations that we're being forced to have, because we have still seen not a shred of change in this year 2023 Nothing has changed. Kids are still being recruited. Kids are still being targeted. Kids are still being fair gamed. And that is extremely unacceptable to us in this year 2023. We don't stand for it, and we won't have it. So I think, Liz, that I wanted to start with, Liz and I, just before we jumped on this live, we were having just a little discussion about parenting and what role parenting plays in really exposing the underbelly of this, secret society of people that are all in on doing whatever it is that they were pitched with those memos from L. Ron Hubbard. So, Liz, why don't you share with us, like, what is your experience of the Scientology parenting?
Scientology parenting for me was not being allowed to call my mom or my father mom or dad. It was Robert or Bob. It was Sandy or Sandra. It was acting as if I'm talking to my superior and not someone that's supposed to love me. It's seeking approval with getting through courses, getting through auditing, and that is the only way that you're going to feel any kind of love. Or unfortunately, in my situation, sometimes the love didn't happen. It was just met with an iron fist. So there was no happy ever after. There was no, it's the end of the day. I love you, honey. It was literally an iron fist. And please get your TRs in as you're crying hysterically from broken bones.
Yeah, I mean, that really resonates with my experience, you guys, because again, we really have to, shout out L. Ron Hubbard and his bullshit, disgusting, crooked memos that instilled a fully false sense of narcissism in our parents as they got dehumanized and depersonalized and turned into these, I don't know, whatever
Robots?
protege. Yeah, robots, proteges that were spouting out these things about, how your child is not calling you by your actual name of mom and call me my name. I mean, and Liz, especially since you grew up in the Sea Org, that whole culture was even more highlighted because my parents would allow me to call them mom and dad. So I did grow up with calling them that. But it's, I mean, you were in the Sea Org though, like when you were like, so it's like that's even another level of the arrangement, you guys. I mean, and having to call them sir, and having to call them by their name. Like, and fun fact, Liz, both your mom and my mom are named Sandra, apparently, because so we both have,
it was a common name, and I realized it was a common name in the 50s and 60s.
yeah.
But it
So
was it's still nice to hear when someone else has a Sandy, because then I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one.
yeah, my mom too, Sandy Gill. So I think it's really important to kind of continue highlighting how we're being we're being cajoled into these untenable positions as kids because we didn't have the mental capacity and the actual emotional intelligence, as no kid has, as that's already been proven by people that do not agree with L. Ron Hubbard, that children are adults in small bodies, because there is no more simple way to say what we're saying, you guys, other than that. It's like you don't need to read anything else that L. Ron Hubbard wrote. If the man is pitching you that children are literally not children, run.
Yeah. Run far away. Grab your
Run.
children and run very, very far. Very far.
Because you know what? It wasn't like the normalization of pedophilia at a scale that is unthinkable, being that this was a culture that proliferated itself in hotels where everybody was thinking the same thing without a shred of critical thinking skills. So when we say this is systemic, institutionalized, industrial scale abuse of minors, it's not just some spouting out some, disagreements we had and, didn't we wish we would have had a better childhood? It's, to go back to the beginning of what we were saying, this is still happening in this year 2023. Kids and parents' relationship is being compromised by this third entity that is breaking into the home of that child. The books of L. Ron Hubbard is rhetoric that is going to compromise the intellect of those parents in every way possible. So that's how Sandy Ferris and Sandy Gill end up doing the same exact stupid thing to their kids. 2 LGBTQ kids, by the way. 2 Sandras having 2 LGBTQ kids inside Scientology. I mean, imagine that, you guys. And then imagine that list. Let's talk about OW write-ups, because that's something that we both experience as children.
On a regular basis.
How was your experience with OW write-ups, writing your withholds and your overts? That's what they called it, guys.
Yep.
How was that?
Overts and withholds. For me, it, as a child inside like an AOLA kid, because my mom was the LRH comm, we were constantly having to write up our OWs, and it was stupid shit. Like, I climbed the tree out front of AOLA. I snuck an extra piece of toast. I was hungry, so I grabbed an orange. It was the weirdest things, but it was all considered an overt, like we were withholding it from someone. Oh, I sat in a chair and didn't get up for a public when I was waiting for my mom to come down from her office. Well, I'm 6 years old. Like, she told me to stay seated, and it's just stupid stuff. Then when we leave the Sea Org, or at least I thought we left the Sea Org, she continued the OW write-ups. If I didn't get good grades in class, I had to write I had to write more OWs. If I got in trouble in school, I had to write more OWs. If I had a friend that she didn't even really like, and I somehow got in like normal teenage trouble, hanging out past curfew, had to write my OWs. Like, they became my nemesis. And after a while, you're starting to pull out things that you're ready to basically confess to things that you never even did, because you just want to stop. You want to stop and have a moment to just breathe.
Yeah, you guys. And just to give a little more context of what Liz just shared here with us, her mother was the L. Ron Hubbard communicator. Okay, so when we say protege of L. Ron Hubbard, this woman took it upon herself to make her duty, her first duty, besides being a mother, was the communicator of L. Ron Hubbard. So the cognitive dissonance imposed on these people is very real, because they get lured, falsely lured into taking on these positions that couldn't be more pathetically artificial, that couldn't be more helping nobody, that couldn't be more a waste of their time, that couldn't be more a waste of their humanity, that couldn't be more a waste of their entire motherhood instincts, because those are the instincts that are being turned against the parent.
Yeah.
So Liz's mom is very pressed to impress people inside the hotel, where she really gets a lot of accolades, where she really gets to pretend she's very important, because apparently communicating for L. Ron Hubbard was a much bigger priority for Sandy Ferris than looking after her own children. And when those children complained that she was literally ignoring them, literally pretending that they were a pest in her life, they would be met with, write your overts and your withholds. How dare you complain?
Mm-hmm. How dare you get in the way of the LRH com and her duties? Like how dare you?
So again, L. Ron Hubbard, the convicted felon that he is and was. I mean, again, it's like if somebody in the Scientology community can make it make sense to us, because it makes not a shred of sense in this year 2023. If somebody like Liz's mom is more pressed to go impress L. Ron Hubbard and do his communications for him than look after their own kids, then what in the literal hell? You know, that was Liz's reality. That was her childhood. That's
Yeah.
how she was raised, you know, and I was raised the same way, except, you know, my parents did leave the Sea Org, you guys, when I drank enough paint thinner to kill myself as a child. So they did then blow at that point. My mom was like, oh yeah, this is a bad idea. Let's get out of here. But you know what? They were quickly back roped in, back to where they couldn't help themselves. They were like, oh, come back. Come back. We're going to give you an amnesty. Never mind you blew. You're not a suppressive anymore. Never mind your child almost died. But it doesn't matter. These
Yeah.
parents are so pressed to be these status symbols of pathetic hotels that couldn't be more disgusting, that couldn't be more centers of dehumanizing people, all because these robot protege idiots are following the word to the letter, literally, what L. Ron Hubbard wrote, with not even a shred of critical thinking, not even, is this still a good idea, you guys? What this man wrote in 63? Oh, how did you technically degrade L. Ron Hubbard? He made it a crime to highlight his pathetic old school thinking from hell that he was so pressed to, yeah, let's do it all till the year 2023. Why not? I mean, again, you guys, like this pathetic idea that any of these memos are anything other than what they are is why, you know, kids like ourselves have to come up here, having done the due diligence, having studied these disgusting policies that, you know what, if anybody wants to go study that for themselves, by all means, go and do it. Because we already did it. We already lived it in real time. We already saw the effects it had on our parents.
Mm-hmm.
And
Even though we saw the effects that we had on our parents, we still somehow got warped and twisted into thinking that was a good idea. At least myself, I got warped and twisted into thinking it was a good idea to join the Sea Org after I was out, because that's what we needed to do. I needed to help clear the planet. I needed to participate. And then when you sign in, you're just, oh my bloody God, what have I gotten myself into? And before you know it, you're compromising what little integrity you have left.
that's, I mean, that's such a good point, Liz, because it's like, it's the integrity that's eroded, you guys. And it's the integrity of people that were being told, like you said, Liz, like nobody thinks those memos are the things that are literally dehumanizing. Nobody makes that connection there because they're all lured into this, you know, BS hotel journey of applying technology. And, you know, that's why like the narcissism is real, you guys, because again, no one becomes an expert in nothing by doing a 2-week course.
No.
And
like most people can't even pass their driver's ed exam in 2 weeks.
but in here, they really will let you, you know, get yourself a child by just completing a 2-week course. Like literally, you can be handling their case. I mean, literally it's called case, you guys. So when we talk about the fact that they're literally running an operation of like where they pretend that they are so-called like lawyers, but not really lawyers, but not really doctors, but they do prescribe, but they do tell you, oh, you're a 1-1. After a 2-week course, they'll be prescribing what your emotional tone level is. And they'll be telling kids what's wrong with them because they really did learn a lot on a 2-week course, right? Like, and L. Hubbard boasted about like, oh, look at stupid universities. It takes 8 years to become a doctor. Well, with us, it only takes 2 weeks. Well, is that really something you want to be very proud about? Really, honestly? Because you know what? Now again, looking through the receipts that we got in this year 2023, not a shred of sense it makes, literally.
No. And realistically, going, and I've done college courses, I've done my general and my microbiology. For me, when it took 8 weeks to complete a class, it made me feel better. Like, because at least then you had some time with it. You're able to, go over everything you needed to, whether it was a vocabulary, whether it was the math problems that are, related to the specific science you're working. You had enough time to work it. But in Scientology, you finishing a course in a week to 2 weeks, that makes you a professional at that course. And it makes you a professional at what? Pulling out someone's overts and withholds, or pulling out someone's horrible memories and leaving them raw and emotionless and just broken. But hey, please come back and sign up for another batch of auditing. We would appreciate if we got to your next item. But then they walk out feeling like they had a win. No, you had a memory that was very traumatic for yourself and you brought it out, and now it's sitting on the surface waiting for someone to cross your path.
100%. And it's all just these people just are trauma bonded, you guys. That's all it is, because these courses are sadistic AF. All the drills are just done to, just like how we were reading right now. And, if you stumble, flunk, what's your word? What's your thing? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? So
yeah, I still stutter when it comes to reading out loud. I can't help it. And besides that, I've got to enlarge the font so big that I'm like, hold on, let me scroll to the next screen because I've got bad vision, everybody.
Yeah, because they were just literally always, the whole thing with L. Hubbard is always making you feel that you're completely subjugated to him, and that he's so much smarter than you, and that you're so stupid that you have to learn all his words. You have to learn the way he speaks. You have to learn every definition he meant to say at every sentence for every text that you ever read. And it's like so pathetic, because it works like a pathetic trick, right? Like he literally peppers in 40 words he didn't even have to use, but he just put it there to make his memos sound intellectual. Literally, you could have said the same thing without using that BS, but he just wanted to like, oh yeah, let's talk about this, talk about that. So people think like, oh, Scientologists are so smart. You have such a big vocabulary and nomenclature. And it's just because we were expected to clear these words and become like these, like, communicators, good communicators. And it was all acting school from hell, you guys. It was all learning a pattern. It was all learning a script. It was all, doing these drills where you're role playing, but you're not really role playing. And when you go do it, and when they are going to video it, right? Because it's all a production. These sessions are just literally a sick, depraved, sadistic, enhanced interrogation, aka torture, CCFBI. If y'all want to tell us why y'all have more delicate gloves in your interrogations with people that have been accused of credible, literal felonies, and they are awarded an advocate to dodge your questions, because it's considered inhumane to interrogate a subject and incriminate a subject without an advocate. So when America can come to us and tell us why we were deposed in these disgusting hotels, of all our privacy, mind you.
Yeah.
Nothing was off limits, you guys. In these hotels, nothing can be off limits. You don't have a shred of boundary. You can't say no. You can't say enough. You can't say I'm done. You can't say I hate it. You can't say shut the fuck up. You cannot say it. The more you say no, the more they double, triple, and quadruple down.
Yeah. Like if I had said no to doing decks, if I had said no to digging the hole, then they would have found something even worse. And it's not about how worse they can get, because they can get worse. And it's not a game to us because we lived it. You know, people think that, oh, you could have just said no. It's not how it worked, because then it would get worse. You would what? Miss out on food, miss out on water. You know, the human body can only survive for so long, you know, without sleep. I can't tell you how many times I went without sleep at all, to the point where I imagined, or not imagined, I really thought my Nana was alive in front of me, and she died when I was 12. But for some reason, I had so little sleep, I thought she was standing in front of me, watching me dig a hole. And I will never forget seeing that image in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm about to join you. That's all I kept thinking, is I'm about to join you. I haven't slept and I'm hungry and nobody wants to talk to me. Okay, this is it. You know, all my fears are coming true all at once. And then all of a sudden I get some sleep and we wake up, rinse, recycle, repeat. And you start to feel like you're going crazy, because you know the person's not really there, but you glanced up and you saw them for a second, and then you double take and they're gone. It's just one of those situations where it's like, no, this isn't the Sixth Sense. I don't see dead people. I literally was so scared that I was basically going to die that I imagined my Nana seeing me. And that for a kid is really hard to suck up.
Well, it's interesting that you brought up your grandma. Was she a good influence in your life?
My Nana?
Yeah.
My Nana was my mother's grandmother. So my great grandmother.
Oh, wow.
She was a huge influence in my life when we left the Sea Org. But she had her faults. She was a little on the born in the 1906 mentality. But she taught me how to love. Whenever I would get hurt, you know, broken leg, busted nose, broken jaw, she would always come up and she would tell me, this too shall pass. And so that's why I have it tattooed across my chest, because every single time she would just tell me, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And even though it wasn't making me feel better, like it wasn't healing my bones, it wasn't making my jaw wired shut any less painful, I knew it would pass. I knew the pain would pass and it'll be okay.
That's beautiful. I love that. You know, sometimes we need these phrases that really kind of adjust our way of thinking, especially when you have CPTSD and you're so trapped in the trigger of it all and your nervous system is still completely hijacked. And again, you guys, that's what we would be advocating for right now in this year 2023. Know what these kids' nervous systems are being put through every time they get locked up in one of those hotel rooms, so that some auditor can have their way with them. It's unconscionable. It's unthinkable. All auditors became L. Ron Hubbard. Get over yourselves. I was a supervisor. I trained all the highest auditors. Well, you know what? Your certificates couldn't be more ridiculous. Your certificates couldn't be more invalid. Your so-called training couldn't be more pathetic. If you thought that a child trafficked from Mexico was really a great supervisor that could really give you some amazing certificates, almost all the NOTS auditors, Liz, were trained by me, so-called trained by me. I mean, you guys, never mind that. Remember, L. Ron Hubbard told us we were nobodies.
Yep.
Like,
They're
you're not a good supervisor. You're just there to follow what L. Ron Hubbard said to do in order to do exactly that post. And you're being judged every single second on how you're doing the post. So going back to depersonalizing people, dehumanizing people, making them pawns in a disgusting racketeering scheme that makes no sense whatsoever, that couldn't be more based in like literally the 1950s of a disgusting, degenerate felon that really took it upon himself to just type it up in an email, or not even an email, in its
no, it was done on that
typewriter.
old typewriter where it was like the
The so-called prolific. I mean, never mind how many secretaries did that guy have really typing all that ridiculous nonsense, you guys. As much as everybody pretends like, oh my God, he was so amazing and wrote so much. That man was a slave master. He literally created a culture of slaves underneath him. All these slaves that are literally, like our parents, like they were so pressed for his approval, for his adulation. Oh my God. It's like the infantilization of our parents couldn't be more clear to us, guys. Like we were always forced to be the parent of our parents from the moment we literally were born, because, our parents were infantilized. I mean, goo goo gaga for L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, they pretty much, for a lack of, I say this a lot, and no, I'm not comparing him to Jesus, but realistically, our parents thought he walked on water. Like hearing his lectures, they would be enthralled, like, oh, oh yes, talk to me, talk to me. That's amazing. But realistically, they bought it hook, line, and sinker, and they were so captivated by it that there was no living past this moment. We were going to follow his rules, his guidelines, and that was going to be the rest of our lives. And
And
that's
again, guys, that's turning people into sheeple. They're all
Mhm.
just sheeple. They're without scruples. They're without critical thinking skills. There are a clear and present danger to have adults such as that among children. And when we say this is a state sanctioned hotel of abuse, we couldn't be more serious. As the courts of these United States sit there
And do
telling
nothing.
us we should be going and arbitrating with these people because we don't even know what in the hell we're talking about, when the courts of the United States themselves have been enabling this disgusting abuse of the so-called rule of law that couldn't be more nowhere to be found in this year 2023, with all these pathetic people playing dumb with us as if enslaving children is a religious thing that we really should all be taking a lot of thought about. It's like, miss us with your BS pitch. Enough. L. Ron Hubbard, we know who he is. Do you know who he is, IRS? Since you're so pressed to, capitulate to their rights because everyone can just go and, enslave their kid if they feel like it. In America, that's legal. That's been legalized. In this year 2023, it's 100% legal to turn your children into slaves, like Liz just said. She was being made to call her own literal parents sir, as if she was just some domestic slave that they bred because L. Ron Hubbard wrote it on a memo. Give us a break.
Right. And speaking of breaks, so I was reading more about Valerie. I don't personally know her, but she was at Gold, so I know her story. Um, arbitration never existed. I remember every HCO policy letter that I had to read. I remember everything that we ever went through. There was never any kind of arbitration because once you're kicked out, no, you don't get to walk back in. You're treated like garbage. There's not like a door that you can walk to and say arbitration, arbitration. No, there's no post for arbitration. It's literally, let me just pretend like we're going to give you the justice that you deserve, but really we're going to flip you the middle finger and then we're going to say, haha, we know that you're not going to step foot in this building because we know what we did to you. You know what we did to you, and we're never going to admit it. And so the idea of this arbitration, oh, that makes me want to vomit. And that makes me want to come out swinging. I'm not going to lie. That irritated the shit out of me. And if one more person says, but there's arbitration. No, there's not. There's not.
Well, and it doesn't apply when Class A felonies are being perpetrated on you, like Liz just told us about Valerie Haney. And Liz, I grew up with Valerie. I was there
I didn't know that.
exactly at the same time that she was brought in. Yeah. So I knew her, and she was recruited with one of her best friends at the time, Emily Jones, who was the daughter of Phil Jones, the parents that put up that billboard. Did you ever hear about that billboard they put up?
Partially
Something
about a billboard.
The disconnection billboard. They raised a bunch of money to put up billboards, and we had the billboards for a while. I mean, there's been desperate performances put out there, but doesn't matter how desperate we are, we always get ignored. We always, every part of our experience is trivialized because these courts have children's blood's money on their literal hands. They can't just point a finger and say, oh, Scientology did that to you. Let's really be the court that decides if they did something bad or not. How about y'all are the courts that are protecting the rights of this racketeering scheme? That wouldn't be happening if it wasn't state sanctioned. That wouldn't be happening if the courts of the United States were playing dumb with every last child that has been enslaved. Today, not back in the day when people used to be slaves. America was founded on slavery, and slavery is alive. And slavery is enabled, and then slavery is state sanctioned in those hotels. So California, this is a blue and red issue. This is a Republican and blue issue. This is a Gavin Newsom and DeSantis issue. So before anybody tries to be like, no, but the wokes over there, there is no wokery. There's no wokes here. Literally, I live in LA. Trust me, they have a place called L. Ron Hubbard Way. So if the Democrat public that claim to be, oh, we're so woke and we're so about social issues, want to come and tell us how in the hell they literally have a street named after a convicted felon that normalized child trafficking at scale, at an industrial size scale. When that pitch starts making sense, maybe the Democrats can say, oh yeah, we are all about doing well for the people. The government sanctioned this child trafficking operation, and then they played dumb. And then they play dumb every day. And then they play dumb again. And then they play dumb that they don't have police, that they don't have FBI, that they don't put billions into law enforcement. But God forbid a child needs some help being trafficked into this country, because the immigration laws couldn't be more pathetic, couldn't be more weak, couldn't be more easy to cross over, as so many of these kids were just brought in for that. And, going back to the Valerie Haney case, it's like, with what eyesight can these courts really look at us with a straight face and be like, oh yeah, look, it says in the contract here that you did sign. Never mind, you were brought in, Valerie's case, when she was still a minor under 18, you guys. It wasn't like Valerie was provided with an education. It wasn't like Valerie was told that this is the legal system, this is how it works, here's your advocate. So, yeah, we're going to make you sign a lot of paperwork, Valerie, but, it wasn't like they were providing an attorney that could really represent her with all the money. Or
could help you understand what you were signing.
And with all the money and attorneys that these Scientology people have, you would think there wouldn't be rampant legal malpractice going on. But yet, that's all this is rampant legal malpractice at scale, with every last person playing dumb. Because again, all these people that represent Scientology, all these attorney law firms, and we're going to start Googling them and putting them on a page so y'all can have access. Because Scientology goes and hires the best, the top, the whatever. Well, you know what? Y'all can start going to your law schools and pulling out ways to describe why the law the narcissistic AF law that we have in this country, where certain people get to like type things in computers and all of a sudden, this is what they do. Oh, this law about child slavery. Oh, just pitch it as a religion. Oh, but a convicted felon's the one that founded it. Who cares? Who cares? No one's ever going to care. No one's ever going to care. I mean, what kind of pushback are these law firms really having, you guys? It's like they hired their client from hell. They hired L. Ron Hubbard. So when that can start making sense to anybody, it will be a great day. But until then, the law could be more no pathetic at its face. And all of it makes no sense in this year 2023. And yes, maybe we didn't go to school. And yes, maybe we don't know all the ins and outs. But we do know that it says in the Constitution that child slavery was abolished. And why did it happen to us?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice to know. Or why did we get tortured? Or I'm trying to think of like the best term for it. Some people have been stating that, okay, it doesn't happen anymore. I did hear that recently, that this kind of behavior doesn't happen anymore. You're full of shit. You're full of shit. It happened in the 60s. It happened in the 70s. It happened in the 80s. It happened in the 90s. It happened in the 2000s. Let's be realistic. They're not going to change something that works. And this works for them. This gives them this ridiculous amount of power, an unlimited amount of money. And with an unlimited amount of money, you can hire these lawyers that have no scruples, that want to own a house in Calabasas or Beverly Hills or, in Manhattan. And you're basically going to say, keep me out of trouble. Please keep me out of trouble. I'm going to give you $1 million a year. Keep me out of trouble. And guess what? They write this ridiculous long stories about what you signed this application. You signed that you were going to do this, that this is what you wanted to do, but you don't know exactly what you're signing. It's not like you get a copy of it. It's not like for a lack of better words, it's not like you're intelligent enough to understand what you're putting your name onto. Because I know I wasn't when I signed that contract. I was not under the interpretation that I was going to be starving on days I was going to be living in filth and squalor or having cockroaches near our faces or our heads, bathrooms that were the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. I didn't sign up to do that, but I did it and I sucked it up because we were helping the planet. Once you wake up and realize, you know what, hey, I'm not really helping the planet. I'm helping this celebrity get away with shit. Hey, I'm not really clearing the planet. I'm watching someone get belittled to the point of wanting to die. Or I'm being belittled to the point of I've got nothing left to live for. So this building, okay, it's roughly about 4 stories. Okay, so if I run and jump off of it towards traffic, that's fine, because I'd rather jump off towards traffic, a 4-story building, and die than continue living like this. And that's where most of us get to. So I'm grateful for the Danny Masterson trial, but there's so many more trials that need to come out. Valerie needs to get her justice. We all need to get some chance of justice, because that's why we're here. We're letting you know what happened to us. We're letting you know what we went through. Because if you find out what we went through, you can prevent someone from going through the same thing.
And I feel like that's how it all comes full circle, guys. I mean, again, the fact that we are still here able to speak on these issues is because we've been able to put an oxygen mask on ourselves. We're able to have oxygen in our lungs so we can speak about the unspeakable. Like literally, it's a lot to ask people that were abused, gaslit ad nauseum, 24/7, 365, their whole entire childhoods, their parents completely compromised, not being there, not understanding what in the hell they're doing. Because again, it's a virus that the infection causes the problem. And it isn't personal, because maybe my mom didn't intend to become that crazy, but she was told that she could. And she was given something that said that it was completely okay. And she fell for the false pitch. And so did Liz's mom. She wasn't the L. Ron Hubbard communicator of nothing. She developed a false identity, a false sense of power, a false sense of who she was. She wasn't Liz's mom. She was this other thing. This other thing was more glamorous to them. So, they were running this sort of like fake Hollywood studio experience where you get selected to be the role of this. Oh, you're so important. You have to be the L. Ron Hubbard communicator, and you are going to save the world, and you are going to be so important. Complete a 2-week course and sign up for this, scam contract that we're going to give you that is going to be not in your best interest at all.
No.
And that's why we're advocating for this, because the legal malpractice that exists, and why all of these amazing attorney law firms that do take it upon themselves to represent Scientology can in a very clear way advise on why these contracts are shredding these people's ability to literally move after they sign them. Because we do know that they're becoming complete and utter slaves. And
you don't get to walk out the door. If you walk out the door, security's right on your ass, and they will follow you down the street. I know I personally got followed. It was awesome. I really thought I was James Bond hopping over fences like it was a scene out of Mission Impossible. But you can't just leave. You can't just walk out and say, I'm done. It's got to be done in secret. It's basically, you got to be on a hope and a fucking prayer to be able to get out of there with your skin attached.
Well, and speaking of Mission Impossible, we implore Tom Cruise, we implore John Travolta, we implore Elizabeth Moss, we implore all the celebrities that are very much a part of this big problem. If you thought you were a Scientology celebrity and it was cool to have slaves serve you, including but not limited to minors such as myself, such as Liz, such as Nora, such as Laura, such as Jenna Miscavige, such as all the kids that have already come forward and spoken and been on the public record. I mean, for each one of us, there's 100 kids that haven't spoken.
And 100 stories that haven't been yet told. Because our stories suck. Our lives were not that easy. And there's been times that I'm sure many of us have contemplated whether it was okay to be on this earth anymore. But there's thousands of us. I remember when I was a kid, I was surrounded by hundreds of kids. The AOLA kids were all close together, but there was other kids at the different organizations, and each one has a story, whether they're behind the blue fence, whether they're at the cadet academy, whether they're at the daycare that used to be at Celebrity Center. There are lots of us, and they just literally need to come talk to one of us. Tell us your story. If you don't want to come out, talk to any one of us. If you need help, reach out to any one of us. At least that's my belief. I've talked to a few people, and I would be there for anyone in a heartbeat.
Well, we understand the plight, and we understand how complex the circumstances are, and we need it to change. In this year 2023, we cannot continue going on and on and on ad nauseum with nothing being done to stop what's so blatantly obvious. And bringing it back to the celebrities, you are a big part of that problem. The celebrities, and Liz, to your point, there were so many kids involved with where we were being raised. There was no way to understand that this was no place for kids. Because this was a keep up with the Jonesons BS. All our parents, the Joneses are doing it, we too. Oh, you did it, You did it too. You did it too. You sent your kids there. You too. Oh, and they would get accolades and they would get financial rewards for child trafficking their children. That's what these parents were getting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, plain and simple. If your mom, Liz, had you, and then she figured out a way for herself to never have to keep a shred of responsibility over you, that is textbook child trafficking.
Mm-hmm. When you're
When
being
my
shuttled
mom and
from
my
place to place, yeah.
Yeah. And when my dad and mom grabbed me as a 14-year-old and consigned me into that Fort Harrison hotel so I could have my entire formative years exploited, to be in a position of disgusting, why in the hell was I being made to interrogate adults about disgusting felonies that I had not a shred of clue what in the hell I was doing?
Absolutely. Because realistically, none of us had an idea of what we're doing. I do want to say this before I forget, because I always forget and I always try to remind Vanessa, please smash that like, hit subscribe. We do need to continue those numbers up so we can continue doing this. So please just smash that like button, because I'm going to go do it right now.
Smash the likes and follow Liz, you guys, because we're in for the long haul.
Yeah, we're not
Literally,
going
we're
anywhere.
not stopping, we're not going anywhere, and we are going to continue to expose the 100 million ways these people are playing dumb with us in present time as we speak, because
Absolutely.
that's what we don't have a shred of patience. We get it's complicated, we get they all got scammed, we get that they all, yeah, we get it. But you know what? You need to stop what in the hell you're doing. You need to be told no for a change. And you know what? The people that are literally receiving y'all's abuse are forced to never say no. We've gained our strength enough. We gain our intelligence enough to say no. No, you're not auditing kids. No, you're not training kids. No, you're not giving ethics handlings to kids. It's that simple.
Absolutely.
That's all we care about. Literally, stop doing that to kids. Full stop.
Yeah. Because, and one thing I do want to mention, because, there's a lot of things I like mentioning, but it happens every single day that a child is married to an adult. And by adult, I mean someone in their 30s marrying a 16-year-old, someone in their 29 marrying a 14-year-old. It's still just as disgusting. But because it's happening inside of a church, all of a sudden it's okay. It makes it 100% okay that we are technically doing statutory rape on a regular basis. It's okay. They have their parents' permission. Well, last I checked, my body is not for negotiation. This isn't a give and take. This isn't something that I'm going to be just handing over to anybody. And nobody should be meant to feel like they need to get married between 14 and 16, especially to someone that is at all an adult. Anybody over 18 years old marrying someone 14, 15, 16, that's still rape. And why the government isn't paying attention to the fact that if this happens outside of the cult walls, they're going to jail for a long time. But inside the cult walls, it's totally okay that you just auctioned off your daughter to an adult. It's cool. We love you for it. Congratulations. You've now scarred your child for life.
As long as celebrities are involved, you guys, it's not called child trafficking. As long as celebrities are involved, is something we all have to be very respectful about. I mean, imagine the audacity, especially in this year 2023, that we're talking about these issues of children being married off, sometimes for visas purposes. You guys, like, literally, A 14-year-old American girl is getting married to a 27-year-old German man because then their visas will align.
Yep. Their visas, they won't need it. They can be a U.S. citizen because they've married to an American, whether it's reversed or whatever it is. People get married off just to renew visas and not on a, student visa or a work visa. It becomes, I'm staying here forever because this is my husband.
Yeah. And again, we're advocating for those girls that we knew were married off and we know are still stuck in that chain of abuse today. Very few people have made it out alive, or very few people have made it out able to even speak. This whole media circus has been made to be, oh, Scientology is so strong, Scientology is so powerful, Scientology is this, Scientology is that. Well, why in the hell is it so powerful if it's abusing kids at scale, Florida? Why in the literal hell is it so powerful, California, if there's all these children being inducted into these hotels where celebrities can get their freak on with them? It's not okay for a child to be exposed to be like, yeah, go be that ethics officer for him. Go really handle his ethics. Go really tell him to stop masturbating because that's really your job after completing a 2-week course at a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So again, there is not a shred of way that anyone can tell us that having kids be the ethics officers of adults is acceptable in any way. And Miranda Scoggins, a student of mine, celebrity center student of mine that was sent across state lines to Florida to get trained to be an ethics officer, happened to then become the ethics officer of Danny Masterson. So imagine that a minor that was child trafficking by Dave Pettit into the celebrity center, that then Dave Pettit trafficked to Debbie Cook to go get trained at the Florida place to go do ethics cycles, to then come back and be, pegged to celebrities. I'm sure that Laura Prepon also got some ethics handlings herself. I'm sure Elizabeth Moss is out there getting ethics handlings herself, because why not get it from a child that's an adult in a small body? Why not go get your ethics in by a child that is going to be told that they're very special and they're adults in a small body? They're adulticizing these kids in unthinkable, despicable, indefensible ways. And It's not a religious thing, and it's not a whatever. It's like, stop BSing us about this is a religious thing. A convicted felon is not a religious man. Like, what in the literal hell is that stupid pitch that's still today holding a lot of water? Because apparently a convicted felon is an American bred god.
Yeah. Or, some child walking in is to bow down to the celebrity. Because I guarantee you, the person that was working in the ethics office, that was a child hearing, oh, I drugged someone and I did things to her. Guarantee you they would have went to the president's office, let them know what was going on, and the president's office would have made the determination as to what they're to. The president's office would have had to make the determination. It's gross. There's no ethics handling. It's, oh, they're a celebrity. Oh, let's put them on their pedestal. Let's forget that they are human beings too. Some of the things that these celebrities saw, you don't want to come out as not a Scientologist anymore. Fine. Admit to seeing some of the abuses. It's pretty simple. Admit that you saw children being ridiculously treated or whatever it may be. Admit to it, because we saw what you guys did, and I'm not exposing your secrets. I'm also not saying that I won't, but at the same time, they were there too. They were witnessing everything. And all they have to do is go to the police, let them know what they saw, and help us get some people out. And if the people want to stay, fine, they can stay. But at least let's give them the option of letting them know what's really going on.
I mean, literally, I don't know that we can force people out that are 21 and up, but we can definitely condemn every last person in there that is not even legally available to make a decision on whether they can drink an alcoholic beverage like this, but they sure can sign a contract for 1 billion years because, it's.
Yeah, they're not old enough to vote, not old enough to smoke, but you can sign a billion-year contract so that you're guaranteeing that you're going to go through shit for the rest of your life. And then if you die there, it's okay. They're going to idolize you and use you as this amazing person. They died on post. They were such a good Sea Org member. They died on post. Like, that's disgusting. Think of your family. Think of you. Like, go to the doctor. There's no reason these people need to die on post. That's vomit worthy that they want to sit there and praise when people die on post or when people die of common things, people dying of the flu. Yes, that does happen. But if they had literally gotten vitamin C and the correct food, they would still be here. Instead, you have people wanting to commit suicide. You have people living on rice and beans. You have elderly people that are withering away to nothing. And yeah, I'm talking about my dad because realistically, that man has to eat every hour or he loses weight. And I know he's being tortured for what I'm doing right now. And if it gets him out, I'm going to keep doing it. If he wants to stay, fine, but I'm going to keep doing it.
Well, again, you guys, as much as everybody says the only way to help your loved ones is to be public and come forward with what's going on. You're not helping them by staying quiet because Scientology likes it when you're quiet. Scientology likes it when you literally enable them to do what in the hell they do.
Yeah, so that you'll live in fear. You'll live in fear of the PIs being on your butt. You'll live in fear of suddenly having cars tracking your every movement or taking pictures of you out of, like, I'm not a celebrity. Some people, driving by taking pictures, they put fear in you.
But,
And that's what they're trying to do.
The ones that are practicing slavery in this year 2023 is them. So again, it's like, yeah, the LAPD plays dumb and they go, oh, it's not slavery. It's something that we have to be very respectful about. But again, it's all over your human trafficking laws, pathetic people of the LAPD that are very, very compromised, having little, rides with Marisol Nichols. So the celebrities going back to, you are the problem, Marisol Nichols. For a slave-free world. You're not slave-free nothing. Your own hotel has child slaves in it. How are you, Marisol Nichols, for a slave-free world? You're a mother yourself. Like,
right? Would she let her children do what's going on in those hotels?
No. And then you know what? These celebrities don't sign up their kids to the Sea Org, you guys. Like, the celebrity kids are pampered pooches. They're treated special. They told, oh my God, you're so special, Lizzie Moss. You're so wonderful, Lizzie Moss. You could do no wrong, Lizzie Moss. Let's get you an audition. Let's get you this other manager that's going to hook you up with this and da 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 da. And oh my God, you're doing such amazing work on The Handmaid's Tale, because now everybody can always really say, well, it couldn't be that Elizabeth Moss is literally playing some disgusting abortion torture on national TV, and that's not also just happening in those hotels, because that is so sick, that is so twisted, that is so disgusting. And we're going to continue covering so many more things about Miss Moss that make not a shred of sense in this year 2023. Even though she is a second generation, even though her parents normalize all of this dysfunction for Miss Moss herself, never mind that. I mean, everyone is a victim of this disgusting scam from hell. You guys, everyone's a victim of L. Ron Hubbard. There is no person that bought the pitch from L. Ron Hubbard that is better off because they did it. But okay, we've gotten to this year 2023 and nothing changed. Now it's time for y'all to wake the F up and stop infantilizing yourselves and stop playing dumb and stop trying to save face, because you really have a lot to save, don't you? going to those hotels. You're really saving a lot.
Absolutely. Well, here's my question. I finally watched some of Handmaid's Tale. I haven't watched very much of it, but I was listening to your live the other day, and I was like, you know what? Shit, I just gotta watch it and see what is going on. So I watched a few seconds of it, and it's a bloody parody of being in the Sea Org. Like the way that the child's born. Oh, you're not in the United States, you're in Canada. But the world's been converted into this cult. You're literally talking about where you go and take courses. You're talking about the people that are there, and you're using our stories as your acting ability. It's not acting when you're using our lives. Just an FYI. Because some of the shit that we've gone through, she's acted out. So it's more along the lines like, watch The Handmaid's Tale and realize this woman's talking about Scientology and what their overall plan is to take over the world and clear the planet of what? Freedom of speech, freedom of choice. It's freedom of choice they're trying to get rid of, because you no longer choose this, you choose their way or the highway.
And
But that's what that show's about.
And all the women reproductive rights, these men making decisions for women. What did you think David Miscavige, Marty Rathbun, and Debbie Cook, and Angie Blankenship, and Sue Gentry, and Angie Trent, and Ricky Jensen, all these women that worked in RTC and all these high executive positions did, you guys? Well, you know what? She wants to leave the Sea Org, but we really need her to continue on her post, and she is pregnant, and she is 4 months. We'll get her in the sec check and make her change her mind. Add more questions to the sec check until she goes to Planned Parenthood and aborts.
Yeah.
So when Ms. Moss and Hulu, who is enabling all of this sick joke at our expense, can start making that make sense, it would be great. And, you know, even the Feminist of the Year, Margaret Atwood, that also another one of these like science fiction writers, that's such an intellect and such a great, amazing, whatever woman, that couldn't have even figured out that Elizabeth Moss grew up in a cult herself. Never mind that it's all over the public record. And never mind that there's all this information about women being forced to abort on the public record. One of the few things that are very well documented, seeing that Laura DiCrescenzo did take it upon herself to civilly sue these people. Never mind there was no criminal investigation, because apparently in America you can force a woman to literally not want to abort, but force her to do it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's okay. It's wonderful. It's amazing. Her needle floated. What is everyone so pressed about? I mean, that is literally how Debbie Cook would pitch that to you guys right now. She'd be like, but we did a net assist after they came after the abortion. We really wanted to help them because after these women were made to abort, you guys, they would be put on a thing called the net assist, which would make these women for 2, 3, 4 intensives, meaning 12 and a half hours times 4, 50 hours of them having to recount the abortion ad nauseum. Go over to the beginning of the incident and tell me when you're there. What happened? Well, I was going into the clinic and then the doctor did this and then I saw him and then he started pushing and then the baby started dying and then I was there and then my eyes were bloodshot and thank you. Return to the beginning of the incident and tell me when you're there. What happened?
Yeah.
Well, I went to the clinic and I was there. Like the trauma, re-traumatizing these women over and over and over ad nauseum until they're like, you know what? Never mind. I feel great. I feel wonderful. This is so amazing. This technology really has erased the fact that I was part of a full-blown abortion on my body.
Absolutely.
So,
or if they find out someone was raped, like the mom that was just walking to see her kids where she was at Gold and the kids were at the ranch, she got raped by one of the people on the way there because she decided, you know what, I want to see my kids. Not only do I want to see my kids, I'm going to walk there. I love them so much. This isn't a hop, skip, and a fart, everybody. Like, you're talking miles that this woman wanted to walk to see her children. And on the way there, she gets raped. She then has to write up her overts and withholds. Like, she pulled something in by her desire to want to go see her child. She did it. But then Scientology will press charges. Just then. But she gets treated like garbage. Like she's tainted or broken somehow.
But yeah, we really should be listening to Elizabeth Moss. That's become the beacon of hope for America. Elizabeth Moss, hired by Disney and Hulu, tapped to do this role at our expense, you guys. These companies, Disney, who makes money on children, has not a shred of concern about putting Miss Moss all over the map so that women really take her example, right? Like really put a bonnet on you, really go grab yourself a red robe and go to Washington and talk about women's rights as if you even know what in the hell you're talking about. You just bought Elizabeth Moss fake AF Hollywood production pitch on something fictional from Margaret Atwood, the genius that tells us that nothing about the Handmaid's Tales, you guys, was something that hadn't already happened. So before we give Ms. Atwood this idea that, oh, but maybe she never Googled it, Serge, maybe she has no idea how to GTS that woman, since she is an older lady. Maybe she cannot even do that. Well, you know what? BS. She can do that. And she did take it upon herself to be a huge creative force behind this show. She was given creative input, aka in Hollywood terms, you guys, she was there being consulted, being told how they were going to show this, show that, let's do it like this, let's do it like that, and let's ask Elizabeth Moss how they do it in the Sea Org so that we, really bring it to reality here. But it's not like what you just said, this country that was born out of another country. Well, these hotels are operating as countries of their own. This already happened. This is already real. If you're in those hotels, the law of the United States apparently is literally not applicable whatsoever. As soon as you enter the Fort Harrison Hotel, forget about all laws.
It's kind of like when you're, oh goodness, what are they called? Your diplomatic community on certain land, like Japan has like certain spots where you can go to and there's their office. It's like that. And that is considered foreign soil, even though it's just a house. It's considered foreign soil. Here's a question for you. So most people are method actors. Most people continue with their method acting. How do you think Elizabeth Moss studied to become a Handmaid's Tale? Do you think she actually worked at the Manor Hotel for a little bit? Like maybe got a position there for a couple days?
I mean, you guys, not even, because, the sadistic narcissism of these Scientology celebrities who do get to pretend that they're royalty. Okay, so just make sure that that's super clear to you guys. The slavery pyramid underneath them is real. Like you said, Liz, like you had a president's office who is comprised of like 5 or 6 key people that are tapped to handle celebrities. They become handlers. And they become these people that infantilize that celebrity, that tell them that you're amazing, you're great, you're so wonderful, you're so this, you're so that, no matter what in the hell the celebrity is doing. So, very MK Ultra programming going on with these celebrities who outsource every part of their life to these peons that have not a shred of a clue how to do anything, because the only source that these peons can check is the memos of deranged L. Ron Hubbard to see if their life is going well or not. So let's make sure that that's clear.
Yeah.
Because
also with celebrities, they also will go with them to the mall and sit there and tell them whether or not they look good in an outfit. That's
Jessica
what some
Feshbach was photographed all around with Katie Holmes, like Jessica Feshbach, what's Katie doing? What's she saying? Whatever. So they do get these like fake slaves to run around underneath them, tell them how amazing they are, and then becomes these like codependent, disgusting relationship that is in no one's best interest. Literally.
Yeah. But that's their job. That's their post. They're to sell their soul to the devil and then tell a celebrity that they're the most amazing person that they've ever met. Or, oh my goodness, like that photo shoot was amazing. Oh my goodness, you were just beautiful. Like, I don't know why anybody questions how beautiful you are, because you're beautiful.
And
Yeah.
meanwhile, their lives couldn't be more vapid. And again, it's like for Elizabeth Moss to sit there with having not a shred of self-awareness. I mean, Elizabeth Moss, you guys, she's not a Sea Org member herself. Miss Moss has access to Google. Miss Moss has access to the best PR agencies of America, given that she is at the top of the food chain ladder of Hollywood. And these publicists, again, who are the enablers of these deranged people? The people that are sitting in the PR office pitching Miss Moss as, hope for America, Elizabeth Moss giving women hope for their reproductive rights. Because it's not like Elizabeth Moss is using her $30 million to fund the very real abortions that are really taking place in those hotels herself. She takes courses, she takes services, she goes up to OT levels, Miss Moss. So there's very real money transactions. So when we say that these celebrities are funding the abuses that are taking place in the Sea Org, it's exactly what they're doing. Like, they're not doing something else. It's not like that money is going to something else. That money is being exchanged. And again, how in the hell in this year 2023 we can see millions of dollars being moved through these hotels with slaves at the bottom of the barrel being forced to abort, while these Hollywood celebrities get to parade around as the biggest feminist of the year. I mean, again, how?
It makes me want to vomit. It's almost like, so we're going to name drop. So it's almost like the Rabisis. Gina was in the Sea Org, and she knows exactly what happened in the Sea Org. She knew what was going on, what was happening. So that means Marissa and Giovanni also know what's going on in the Sea Org, because the three of them would talk. They would have lunches together. They would have family time. They still had all of those things. But yet I don't hear Beck telling everybody, hey, this is the shit that Scientology does. I'm just not a Scientologist anymore. No, you can own it. You can tell exactly what it is. Giovanni, admit it. Admit what you've seen, what you've done. Marissa, same thing. Admit it. It's not going to destroy your career. You don't have one. Sorry. It's just like the rest of us. You're a regular person now.
Well, and Gina, I met her, Liz. I didn't know her in the Sea Org or before, but when I came to LA at first, she ran around in the circle of artists with Alex Prager and Gina and all these Scientology celebrities, you guys, that we were all about. And Gina was traumatized AF.
Yeah.
Literally,
all the
when
time.
she came out of the Sea Org, you guys, she was like an electrified cat. That woman was so traumatized with what they did to her in the Sea Org. I don't know. We didn't even get into the specifics of that because, again, it wasn't kosher. No one can share information in there. You can't tell people. Gina couldn't tell me what they did to her in the Sea Org, because then she would have been exposed to me writing what she told me against her for complaining and black PRing is what they called it. If you are putting black PR, and that's how they curate their image, but no one is allowed to speak about the abuse, because then that's called black PR. So again, managing everyone as a peon, because no one can have their own independent thoughts. But Scientology selling you freedom? What?
Yeah.
When you're paying to become free. So you're paying to become free, but you can't have a shred of an individual thought. And anything you do complain about is going to be turned against you for black PR. So when that makes sense, we would love to hear how that makes sense.
Absolutely. I just saw someone in the comments wrote, oh shit, knowledge report. So in case anyone is wondering, there's two different types of well, there's two main reports that you have to write. A knowledge report is a copy goes to the person, a copy goes to their file, and a copy goes to ethics. Then there's the things that shouldn't be. And that's, again, when someone's committing a crime, things like that. And you turn around and that person doesn't get a copy, their file does. And so they don't know what's going on. And then they get ethics handling on that. I didn't want anyone to have any kind of misunderstanding from a knowledge report, but that is something that is really big in Scientology. It's basically a way to tattle on everything. Oh, they took more breakfast than they should have. Oh, they didn't have their tie on when they got to the org. Oh, their shirt wasn't cleaned. People would knowledge report you if you smelled bad. Like, you're not allowed to wear fragrance or anything, but you will get a knowledge report for having body odor.
And this one, Roxy Almeida said, this is cringe worthy. Where's the pro-life? And we couldn't be more in agreement with you, Roxy. Where is women's ability to do whatever
What they
they need
choose.
to do for themselves without the opinion of people that have not a shred of a clue what it means to be a woman? Let's just start by that. So, they couldn't be more anti-life, because this is even the reverse. This is not a woman that wants to have an abortion being stopped from having it. This is a woman that doesn't want to have it being told to go have it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is unconscionable, indefensible in every sense of the word. And Ms. Moss is very well aware, because this is all over the public record, what people were doing to Lara Di Crescenzo, who was a minor the first time she had her first abortion. You guys, going back to the child brides issue, she was 17 years old. Why was she getting pregnant at 17? Did she really know what she was doing? Or was she being trafficked, given that she was started in this Sea Org at 12? At 12 years old is when they started Lara Di Crescenzo in the Sea Org. So it's absolutely unconscionable. And then there's one from Cali Blue. Hi, Cali. What is the biggest challenge in expanding your channels? We want to help you. Oh, well, good question.
I would say reaching the most amount of people. I know that I'm almost at like 400 watch hours. I have almost 300 subscribers, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot to the people that got the thousands, but for me, I cherish each and every person that follows.
Yeah.
I'm really big on thank you letters. I have to show this real quick. I got this. Oh, wrong way. I got there we go. Okay. So I got a ditto made from someone. And so I'm super excited to send them something to say thank you. But it's the impact that we can reach. The bigger the algorithm, the more people we can let know what's going on. And, the more people that you let know, the more people that will avoid them like the plague and will spread the word. It's kind of like that whole saying of, if you have a really good shopping experience, you're going to tell 10 of your friends. If they have a good shopping experience, each one of them will tell 10 of their friends. I'm not saying I'm a shopping experience. Sorry. That sounded really wrong. And I'm not trying to shop myself. But if
But I
you
get it.
tell,
I mean, you're just giving recommendations. The
Mhm.
people that are invested in the story, you guys, given that this is a pop culture story, it's not like the corporate media hasn't been all over the story of covering all of these celebrities, just giving you guys a bunch of BS. That's the thing. That's the thing that I understand about, the people that are joining us in our lives, is people that want to know really what in the hell is going on, and they don't want to be told BS, because they've heard the BS pitch for the last 73 years and nothing makes sense. Like, it's a religion, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. And it's like, no, they're finding out who the very real children were that were stuck there. We have a face, we have a name. Never mind that the corporate media has dehumanized us, but we do have a name, and we do have a face, and we do have very real receipts about what was done to us. And we know who did it, where they did it, how they did it, how many times they did it, where they were doing it, and all of that. All the details that the corporate media has ignored, that the corporate media has used to wipe their what with. That's what we have. So I think we have to grow these channels organically with the people that want to learn. And, the free movement, the Free Britney movement started with a few people caring. And that's how I feel we are right now in this stage. You know what? It's like slow and steady wins the race. We're not here to win anything anymore. We're here to show up every single day for ourselves, for our friends, for the people that we know are hurting as a result of being exposed to the scourge of disgusting memos from an indicted felon. And, you know, we will always have the kids as our first priority. But the fact is that every kid, every senior, every parent needs our advocacy, because even the people that are saying that they're all about this, we're saying we need to advocate for you, because you shouldn't be all about this. You will end up with criminal exposure once this government is actually moved to do anything and cannot play dumb. I mean, that is the only way these courts actually work, you guys. The minute they don't get to play dumb, all of a sudden, oh, look, we just found the rule that really applies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Suddenly we've got a court case. Oh goodness. And someone's
how
not
did
being
we not
told
know?
arbitration.
So, you know, this is a case of legal malpractice. There's a lot of corrupt, disgusting attorney law firms that are taking up on themselves to put their law licenses on the line for a corrupt RICO worthy client that would lie to them, that would never share what it really goes on in those hotels. And these corrupt attorneys that didn't take it upon themselves to read L. Ron Hubbard, because they just said, well, didn't the law says we can't have a shred of a critical thinking if we started to pitch this as religion, that no one can have a critical thinking skill. Ha ha ha. Didn't we go to school for that? Isn't the law so great, you guys? We're the intellectuals of the world. Miss us with your pathetic BS. Read the memos of L. Ron Hubbard, then have a conversation with us. Read what in the hell that man said that literally dictates to erode all laws. So if you really wanted to put your law license behind a doctor that was going to be like, I'm a doctor, I can cure everything, and just shred all the information that could make a patient well, and you really want to like defend him because you know what, yeah, like, let's defend the indefensible. Why not? We went to the top universities and we do get paid a lot. So that's what this is all hinging on. Corrupt attorneys that, you know, the cops are very scared of, because, you know, nothing like a really powerful attorney to really be scared of, because why do we have an FBI? Why do we pay the LAPD to so-called handle trafficking? It's all unacceptable. So, I mean, Cali Blue, I think that we just need to continue exposing what's going on, and we're working also behind the scenes to just organize ourselves better. You know, like I think it's a journey of optimizing and a journey of like Liz says, like, you know, the reason I'm in with this YouTube community is because I feel like people actually do care here. When I was on TikTok, everybody was like very like ADHD. Over there, it's like it's hard to really have an audience because everyone's in and out. But here, you guys have already invested so much time and you really want to learn the facts. Like, we're sick of the BS lies and the fake pitches. We need to get to the bottom of what's going on. And the more we know, the more you guys know, then you're equipped to make your own conclusions and ask your own questions. I think we need to organize ourselves so that these law enforcement units start hearing from questions from anybody. I mean, we went over that the other day with in this other live that I was doing. Is like, what we need is questions. You guys can ask your questions. Why are kids still inside those hotels? At LAPD. Ask LAPD. Maybe they could come up with an amazing statement that is going to make everything that we've said in this live make sense. All of a sudden, we'll be like, oh my God, well, we didn't think about that, you guys. It's true. That, you know, if only we would have known what they can write to us in a statement to, you know, validate why they broke all the laws. I mean, obviously, I'm being facetious.
Okay, I'm like, I'm really bad with sarcasm. Like, V will tell you I'm really bad with
it's
it.
like we're done with the fake pitch, you guys. So.
Yeah, we're literally done. It does remind me. So in the military, they always tell you that you have to that they're ready to fight all foreign and domestic enemies. Yet we have one, and they will easily do whatever they can to children, to whoever and whatever they can, whether it's forcing a woman to have an abortion, forcing a man and wife to be separate from each other, forcing gay people to pretend they're straight, just so that they're not ostracized from the group that they've known their whole life. They will do everything they possibly can.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're going to do more because we're just going to keep exposing and keep exposing and keep exposing. And you guys are going to keep listening and asking
we're gonna get more people
questions.
to care and ask questions and answer those questions and educate and inform. And with awareness, awareness is the sunshine. That's all we're looking for here. Create awareness, create understanding of what in the hell is going on. When people are aware, no American wants to see children being enslaved. That's very clear to us. Children have been enslaved because nobody knows that that's happening, because no one had a front row seat at that dysfunction. So we don't expect you guys to know that because you were not allowed inside the hotels. And so far, the corporate media has pitched this as a very religious environment that we were all in. And they couldn't be more pathetic if they tried. Because again, the corporate media is the one that's supposed to hold the thermometer of corruption so that powerful people cannot just run rampant doing corrupt things and not get called out. But when the corporate media is more pressed to get an interview with Elizabeth and Tom Cruise than doing their job, when they're more pressed, the Hollywood Reporter, to pitch Marisol Nichols as the Hollywood vigilante, the poster woman of child trafficking, when the child trafficking is happening at Celebrity Center in the place where the Hollywood Reporter is supposed to do the coverage, is supposed to really cover things, but the corporate media, they don't give an F, you guys. They just want to make money for themselves. It's a very corrupt, broken business model that they got going on for themselves. And every bad thing that's happening to society boils down to these people that, again, they're part of their own cult of dysfunction. Let's just make sure that that's clear. Kalaya McDonald, you were made for such a time as this. The time is now, and we hear you. Well, thank you, Kalaya. We really appreciate that. We agree with you. And we have Jenna Miscavige on her live today going over just answering more questions about what in the hell she saw and how the dysfunction worked for her. And, we need all that diversity going on in this conversation because it's not just one account that we're talking about here. More power to you both. Remember to take care of yourselves during this journey. Thank you, Lynn, Rich, Bailey. Absolutely.
That one's a big one. I've stepped up my therapy because of this. I also make sure that I check in with my other half and do all of that stuff. I know we check in with each other just because this isn't easy at times, but it's important.
It's very important. So, that journey is very important. If you guys have any more questions, definitely let us know because we would love to answer more.
Yeah, he'll grab them. I have a question for you though. Have you seen I wish I knew where it was. My other half would probably tell you exactly where it's located. There's a TV show called The Path, and it's PATH, The Path. It is like an analogy of, okay, the original founder is found to be bullshit. It's okay because I saw the light is what his this other person that's supposed to take over is feeling, and then he takes over, outs you just have to see it because it's David Miscavige. It's literally, how do we continue a cult so that way nobody finds out that they're in a cult? It's a cult. It's a cult. It's a cult. Sorry. That's what I had to say.
Yeah, it is. And you guys, again, we have become an expert at a subject that we couldn't be more nauseated about. That's what's happened to us, having our entire childhood exposed to these systems of dysfunction. We didn't want to become expert at this dysfunction. We didn't want to witnesses. We didn't want to be pawns in this scheme. It's something we never had a shred of ability to consent to. And in fact, we were talking about this, Liz, you and I, about, one thing that Liz brought up to me. She says, sometimes I still have a hard time, forgiving myself for some of the things that I did when I was inside.
Yeah.
And, and I really could understand where she was coming from, you guys. But at the same time, I could hold space for the truth being that she never had a shred of consent to do that. And we were always told in there that everything that happened to us, we were responsible for. So sometimes it's hard to be able to understand that really when we were kids, given that we didn't have a childhood, we didn't have it when we were being told every day that we were adults, that childhood didn't take place. When we were told every day that we were just like any old adult and that we could just handle all the intellectual abuse that was being perpetrated on us because we could really study this BS, like, no. So I think it's important to understand, just how there's a 360 to this, and we're healing each other by holding space for the truth. The fact that, Liz had a very hard time there, for both of our LGBTQ experience, that experience that, people don't even think that there's a lot of gays in Scientology because it's totally anti-gay. But, there's a lot of people that end up there because their parents did raise them in that environment. They were gay from the minute they were born. And now they're going to have the horrendous experience of having the memos of an indicted felon being used to define who they are as a human. I mean, the ridiculous, debunked bullshit memos of this indicted felon are gonna be the Bible. Apparently in America, they really believe in making indicted felons into Bible writers like L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah. But in all actuality, let's I'm going to discuss that for a second. So LRH died how many years ago?
Yeah. How
Um,
many years ago?
so
Hold on,
he
let me take this really quick call, okay?
Okay, so to continue the information, so I believe it was 1986. So basically what happened is if he died in 1986, how are all these additional memos, how are all these additional programs being written? How is the OT levels that have yet to come out, how are they being written? He's dead. Does someone have a Ouija board? I'm just curious because realistically, once you die, you're dead. And so you don't get to continue rewriting anything. You don't get to update your grammar. You're dead. And so what is going on in Scientology now? Just like Amy Scobie said, they're being rewritten so that they can get more money out of each person. They're being twisted and changed just a little bit, maybe a comma, maybe a capital letter. But either which way they're doing it to get more money. The man's dead. The person that they idolized is dead. There's no way he can continue writing anything.
Absolutely. There's another question. How did you guys learn to speak so clearly about what you guys have been through?
Therapy.
Provide. I don't think that there's a way to learn. I mean, I think it's part of unpacking our trauma. It's been, trauma makes you think everything is so complicated and convoluted. And the more you understand what happened and the more you understand the facts, not the feelings, because the feelings can sometimes take us away in a lot of tangents. But when we just confront the reality and the facts for what they were and have the ability to hold space for that, and also fueled by our passion to be advocates for those kids. What we experience as kids is indefensible and unthinkable. And I think that we've been made to feel like we don't clearly communicate because this government plays dumb. We've been made feel that we don't communicate clearly because our parents seem to think that, they did nothing wrong, they did everything correctly, and how dare we become suppressives, and how dare we decide to be gay ourselves, and what in the hell is wrong with us? And that pitch worked when we were kids, but those fake ridiculous pitches don't work now that we are adults in adult bodies, you guys. So that is the full flip side of this moment right now. What we have, we are adults, we understand the facts, we understand the complicated aspect of what happened, but yet the very, very simple decision of where we are today. Because today things are very simple. We have achieved the state of clear, you guys. We really are clear AF. We could not be more clear about what is wrong. Again, L. Ron Hubbard stripped these people of a moral compass. And again, that's not good for any human to be in that position.
True. Now, I did see a question earlier. I can't seem to find it, but it was something about how did they help in Australia? Wherever you are, whether it's in the United States, outside of the United States, the main thing to do is remember to tell your friends. If you have a friend tell you that they're thinking about looking into Scientology, tell them to run. Like, give them your honest opinion. Be like, look, I follow people and I listen to them of what they had to endure. Please stay away. It's follow us, let us know if you have any questions, definitely let us know. But we'll do the best that we can to give you information, especially if you have friends or family.
Lim Lee from South Korea says, can someone keep a low profile and help escape that place hotel? Yeah, but it's hard for even low profile people to escape. It's like they make it very hard for anyone to escape because they, again, subjugate you and turn you into a slave. And they speak to you. They teach you a language where only you will understand together with your abusers. And it's very hard to disentangle yourself from that language because, that's where your intellect is compromised. Oh yeah, I just found the question. Is this the question? How can Australian people help bring down the Church of Scientology in the USA? Well, you know what? Australia, and I wanted to add something to what you just said, Liz. Australia owes us big time. And I'll tell you why. Australia was the first corrupt AF country that decided to give L. Ron Hubbard, that capitulated to L. Ron Hubbard and his sycophants, his proteges from hell, on giving them the religious status. That created a legal precedent. That created the first place these people were recognized as a so-called religion. So Australia is the first country to have blood on their hands of kids that were trafficked, because God knows if they had not given that religious exemption, Australia, that the IRS would have had less of a ability to play dumb, because a lot of these people go, well, they did figure out how to make it legal over there, so we'll figure out how to make it legal over here. And Scientology was always counting on that. That's why they made a big deal about that time. They were like, oh my God, Australia recognized what we've been dying to have recognized. But again, it's like, why did they recognize that? And what in the hell are they doing today to stop that? Because in Australia, there's an advanced organization, you guys. In Australia, that's where Jenna got sent. That's where Valeska, the one that filed the lawsuit, was sent. So Australia and America has been child trafficking kids back and forth for a while. So, I would say, Scooby-Doo, that you need to go to Australia and, wake them the F up and tell them, what in the hell did you do? Literally, go to your legal people and be like, why in the hell did you approve these people to be a religion? And why are you sanctioning child trafficking at scale? And why are you having done anything to stop it? And why are people being brought in from other countries to become slaves? Because in Australia, what they've done is they really have specialized on, the Asian community. They've been literally being predators in the Asian community because, they found a way to make them very like susceptible to their pitch, and what I've seen, like, in especially all the Asian people that I met at Flag, they were actually very well intended people. They had not a shred of a clue what they got themselves involved in. I mean, like everybody, but with Asian people, it was so, they didn't speak the language half the time. So they kind of read the book and then they thought this was a big thing with celebrities involved. And all of that was used against them to lure them into those hotels and lure them to be part of this. So, yeah, I mean, Australia is a country we have a bone to pick with, but United States is the one that exported all this BS everywhere. So let's not forget that they are the ones that exported L. Ron Hubbard everywhere. So they didn't stop L. Ron Hubbard, and then he went around being able to, be a full-blown racketeer everywhere he got an audience, and he could sell people his fake pitch that, back in the day it worked because it was hard for people to really talk about what in the hell was going on and share information. But in this year 2023, there should be no excuse to roll back all of this nonsense and all of this elitism, this fake elitism that only creates, a slave master state.
Yeah. And hopefully the governments will step in and be like, we boo-booed. We're sorry. We're going to go after them now. And, at least that's what my hope is. I may be living in La La Land, but I just have to hope for some kind of justice.
Well, and again, it's like if people don't know what they're against, because then Australia did try to roll back again, and these people are highly litigious and they have a lot of money. So we do understand that in the normal world, if you do have a lot of money and you have a lot of attorneys, they can clog up stuff and make it very difficult. But we're here in the court of public opinion with all of you guys coming forward with the receipts, coming forward with the information, not needing people to arbitrate or advocate on our behalf. Like you guys already told us, we're very clear on how we speak. We don't need a lawyer literally to say what in the hell we saw. We literally can only speak for ourselves and speak to what they're doing and really like stomp out the corruption. Another question from Kalia McDonald. How can they sue the Catholic Church for what happened to the kids and claim religious crap excuses for Scientology? Well, I think Kalia is again going back to the point of public awareness, right? Like this conversation, we're still very young. We're the underworld. You guys, we're like, what is it called? The underdogs or we are the minority right now, right? Like people are still having conversations about Scientology that are not in the weeds. And we have now finally been able to have these conversations that are in the weeds and are discussing what's going on. The Catholic Church, I mean, I would say it's taken them hundreds of centuries to really kind of bring them to their knees, right? Because for how many years they got away with literally like plucking nails out of people's hands because you don't believe in God, and back in the Inquisition times, right? So
for burning women at the stake because they had a mole on their cheek because they must be witches.
So there's a lot of injustice that's been done in the name of religion, and that's why we couldn't be more disgusted with the false pitch in this year 2023. It worked at the time, whatever, people needed to hear something, but they were being manipulated and they were being controlled, and they created these like fake pyramids of elitism that always ends up in the same place. People that think they're better than others, you guys, just BS. Honestly, they're just nothing. They're just narcissistic, useless, pathological whatevers.
Yeah, but on that topic, to be completely honest, the Catholic Church has been around for how many hundreds of years? Scientology has not been around for hundreds of years. And so it took hundreds of years for some of these people to get their justice. Is it happening every single day? No, but it's happening. And that's what we have, is we don't have 100 years to wait. We're letting everyone know now. We're wanting our justice now. Or at least the best justice that we can find. Stop doing what you did to us, to other people.
Absolutely. That's what this is about. We don't want the same things to be done in this year, and we're coming to you with hopefully explaining things and getting into the weeds, because the devil is in the details. As long as everybody remains glib, like Tom Cruise told Matt Lauer, well, you know what? Thank you, Tom Cruise. We couldn't agree with you more. As much as you were mocked for calling people glib, that's exactly who the corporate media is. A bunch of glib people that don't care. A bunch of glib people that don't take it upon themselves to read L. Ron Hubbard, but do want to be the writers that are going to tell you what's wrong with the thing, you guys. I mean, again, it's like the narcissism of the media and their lack of due diligence and heavy lifting couldn't be more obvious. And that's why they're getting called out, because when they don't do their job, kids suffer. When they don't do their job, corruption thrives. When they don't do their job, the police departments couldn't give an F about doing their job. So if everything is broken, then what in the literal hell is ever going to happen to help the kids that are very stuck right now, as Liz and I were, with nobody having lives? Nobody was doing this work when we were stuck at the hotels. Nobody had a shred of a clue, guys. That's, again, sunlight is the best disinfectant. So we really want to thank this community for allowing us to be, the first sun rays as they're coming in. And let's continue expanding these channels. And we're going to be bringing more people that we're talking to that are being, influenced into knowing that it's okay to be transparent and it's okay to come forward with what happened to you. You didn't deserve it. And these pathetic people could not be less weak if they tried, because criminals are not strong. Criminals are not powerful. So it's a bunch of clowns pretending that their little clown in charge, L. Ron Hubbard, really had their back. Well, they're in for a very rude awakening, because L. Ron Hubbard had no one's back at all. So we'll continue to move forward on that.
Absolutely.
So,
because I can't wait to move forward and, let you guys know more information and let you know, basically put you where we are in the know and go from there. That way you can make an informed decision as to what you're going to do. It's all about information.
yeah, and we're gonna, continue creating action steps of what you guys can do to help us. And we're working on the exact steps to do. So don't think that we are not coming with some solutions for ourselves, because there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that, in due time we'll be sharing with you guys. And there's a lot of really good news. So I think that's kind of like, to end off on the good news, is that's the good news. A lot of really good stuff is happening. A lot of people are reaching out. More and more receipts are coming forward. And, we'll continue to expose the facts and demand accountability from all the people that need to start taking accountability.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did see something I did want to comment on. So it says from Tribite, you see it? Thank you both for your openness. The SPTV community has helped me as I unpack my own trauma web. Absolutely. We're unpacking with you. If you need anything, reach out to any of us, because trust me, we all have those trauma webs, and sometimes you just need a friend. And we will always be here if you have questions, if there's something we can assist with. I know you've got your lives on a regular basis. I'm coming into it. But yeah, trauma is trauma, and it takes a little bit.
All right, you guys. Well, we will be actually seeing you back with Liz and I next Monday, since we decided that this is going to be our time.
It's like Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Raw and unfiltered. And telling you, what it is. And if you didn't know, now you do know. And we'll come up with action steps, and definitely send us questions, send us suggestions, anything anybody is inspired. If you have inspired action, by all means share it, because that's what this is all about, creating inspired action so we can all become advocates, because we are in this journey of being advocates for everybody and for ourselves and for the kids that are there, and for change, and to demand accountability.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can email me questions. I'll do the best I can to probably answer them here. If you've got questions for both of us, just mark in there. Hey, I've got a question for both of you to answer. It's you can email me at savebobferris@gmail.com.
And Serge Delmar at proton.me. If you're under the radar and want to share information with me, let me know there. There's been a few people that have already reached out, so thank you so much. And yeah, I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you for spending this time with us. We really do appreciate it, every single one of you that is, holding space for these conversations. And there will be the day that L. Ron Hubbard rues what he did to us, the kids that he abused.
Right.
Yes. Okay, you guys will definitely like, subscribe, and follow. And what else, Liz? I don't know. Am I forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
I
It's like
don't want to
so much.
go, but I know we've been on
I know we've been on for a little bit, but at the same time, I don't know if we do it. This is Liz and Serge signing off. I don't know what we do, because there's so many questions, and a part of me wants to answer more. But then a part of me is like, we've got to save some for for the next Monday. But I have a funny feeling we're going to get so many questions, we're going to have to do more than Monday.
Yeah.
Because we had a few questions in here. If we didn't get to your question, please email it. It's nothing personal. We probably missed it. Let's be real. I can't focus on that and everything else, because that font is tiny. And, my other half will tell you I kind of need reading glasses, and I'm not there in my age yet. I'm just not there.
Guys. Well, thank you so much. We will see you guys all very, very, very soon. Bye-bye.